Well, welcome back. We're about to start our second match of the night, the Group B match here on the Vainglory International Premier League. Very back and forth match in the last one. Can't wait to actually go home and watch that one again. There was so much going on in that game.
It really shows that Vainglory is a game that even if you do get ahead, there's a lot of comeback mechanics, and we saw that at a PQQ. They stayed steady. They allowed Druid to farm up to that monster position that he usually takes, and then you saw it in that last team fight. What happens when a Vox hits near 200 CS? It's like, well, if you can line up that ultimate, it's just insane damage.
Yeah, and it's just the way you can move through the team fights too with that Sonic Zoom, just continuously getting out those AoE auto attacks. And Vox is a hero. He takes some time to ramp up. He's item dependent, but once you get into that late game status and you get a high attack speed, and if you have good enough mechanics to, at a very rapid rate, cancel his attack animations, he can put out a boatload of damage.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I recommend you guys definitely try out that hero. I wanted to point out as well that the build that he was going for, he went for one reflex block for defense. That was it.
Yeah.
He started off with the alternating current, then he went into the Shattered Glass, got the Broken Myth. Somewhere in the middle there, I think there was the reflex block that did come out, but that was it. He knows that he needs to hit that Vox potential very soon. He doesn't waste any time or any gold on buying defensive items that he may not need because the fight's not going to last long enough.
Saw the Gankstars sign there for support Saw. We can dream of that. Beyond Function. It's funny, Function on
I don't know if I want to see
Beyond,
that moniker still.
I want to see it. I want to see it, Valdez. Yeah. Function is actually he's in grad school for mathematics right now.
Yeah.
So that's where his name comes from, actually. Pretty funny stuff.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. A lot of these guys actually having fun with their names. I think later on Hack as well, we have a lot of players that have names based off of phones and phone designs and phone names and stuff. It's kind of interesting.
It is quite funny. But yeah, coming into this next match, Beyond did take out VAP. Maybe not the hardest team. Gankstars coming in with a win off of Tiger Phobia, which is a pretty good team, and it was not a close game. Gankstars played very aggressively, and they took a 14-minute win. It looked like maybe they were going to fall behind just because of how deep they were invading, an early death from Iraqi Zoro, but they just took over the game after that point.
Yeah, if someone asked me right now, who do you predict to win this one? I think they're both fantastic teams, but what we've seen so far, we've seen a lot more of Gankstars as well. Just getting to that third place spot of the Invitational, there were so many strong teams that were invited to that tournament. There's a reason they were able to beat Hunters, who's also one of these teams that looks incredibly strong. By the way, they're going to come up after this match if you guys want to check them out as well.
Let's take a look at our teams. Of course, Gankstars still with the same lineup from the Vainglory Worldwide Invitational. Iraqi Zoro, Cole the Meek, and Gabe Vizol back in Korea one more time. And Beyond, Function, Yota, and Forgotten War. Now, this is a very interesting matchup because Beyond really likes to play Crystal Power. Crystal Power, Crystal Power, Crystal Power. They swapped positions in their last match with Forgotten War, normally their jungle, playing the laning Scarf. Whereas Gankstars, we know they love Glaive. Cole the Meek, fantastic on that hero. And Gabe Vizol, great on the Ringo. So I was talking to Cole the Meek earlier today, and he thinks that the only player who is at Iraqi Zoro's level as a lane player is Druid here in Korea.
We saw that, man. I'm beginning to think that he may be the best. I want to see how Iraqi does today. Maybe I'll reconsider. Here's Gankstars as well. You guys should know their faces by now. They were at the Invitational, got third, and they're here now doing quite well.
That's right, and we will start here at the end. Gabe Vizol, their roamer, pulled out a very nice Adagio in the match versus Tiger Phobia. And he's only been playing the game for about 6 months right now. These guys pretty new overall, but man, they have risen very quickly to be one of the best teams in the world.
I say that Gabe Vizol, kind of one of those guys, he can definitely make plays, but I think he fades into the background compared to these other two guys for sure. I mean, you look at this guy called the Meek, known as the best Glaive player in the world.
Doubt we're going to see that one. Doubt we're going to see that one tonight. That is usually what you ban if you are going to be up against Gankstars. He did play Koshka in the last match. Did very well. Helped carry that game 6-2-8. His stat line. And the man who is definitely the main focus, this is the guy they really play around, it is Rocky Zoro.
Yeah, for sure. His play on Ringo and other heroes there in the lane has been so fantastic. We were talking about his Ringo mechanics last week, actually, and we're going to get a look at that now.
And Rocky Zoro, the sniper, of course he is, and he's going to fake check a brush and kill somebody immediately. And let's showtime! Let's showtime, Rocky Zoro. He did it. He showtimed.
I guess that's what it's like when you showtime.
Really good kiting, though. You can see how well he's spacing out his auto attacks and the Achilles shots from Ringo for the slow.
Yeah. And he just looks up like it's no big deal. He's like, yeah, that's what I do. I'm the sniper. Giving us a little smirk.
See if he goes for the Ringo one more time tonight. Or this could be mixing it up. And over on the other side of our arena, we will be taking a look at Beyond, the team that made a name for themselves in the qualifiers, playing Jungle Celeste.
Yeah, saw a lot of that, and I wonder if we may get a ban on that as well out of Gankstars. Would not be surprised. But let's take a closer look here at Beyond.
Okay, will be Yota on the end here, Catherine player. But we may see, who knows, this team just loves blue builds. They love going for the crystal power. Are they going to continue to select heroes that will do well with that? We know Yota is potentially a pedal player. We just saw a pedal in that jungle position. They decided to swap roles.
You got to be ready here. This is Function, one of the biggest guys on this team, having his own sign.
And I guess he has permanently switched to the jungle position now. They did swap positions last week, so it looks like they've made a decision on the team to permanently make these changes.
You know, maybe just a lot of practice that came out before this league started after the qualifiers.
Yeah, and they played jungle Adagio, so feeding the Adagio a lot of those jungle camps last time around. And there he is, Forgotten War, 6 Scarf play in the last game.
Lee Phil Lip, that is his name. There he is. And we're going to get a closer look at some of his play.
Taking a look right here, the tricky magician, the silver laner. Pretty sure it's clever, but we'll give him a pass.
Boom, burning enemy.
That's the Spitfire. And, you know, it is really hard to hit some of these Scarf skill shots before you overdrive the ability and get that extra missile speed on there. So doing well in the early laning phase, very impressive.
Yeah. As I said before, I've been loving the Scarf play on the ladder. I do want to see him play more of this today.
Trickster musician is what it said. Oops.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know.
If he's playing Adagio, that's like a musical, but he was playing Scarf. So, musical term. Tricky. We'll go with tricky magician. I like that. That one sounds better than trickster musician.
I mean, I suppose. But looks like we're going to be getting into our bans and picks here. Celeste banned out by Gankstars and Glaive banned out by Beyond, kind of what we were saying. It does make sense.
Yeah, looks like Beyond will be picking up that Catherine for Yota. Once again, that one already nice and locked in, and Gankstars taking their time. They don't deal with any hovers. They don't need that. They have their plan. Just going to wait for it to unfold, and looks like Beyond may be going for something quite similar. Glaive and Celeste band, no surprises here.
Yeah, I wonder if Function's just trolling so far, or if they are going to go with the same kind of composition as they did do last time.
Yeah, that would be exactly the same composition that they selected in their last match, and they're just going to lock it in. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Forgotten War has shown, and they are going to use pedal power. And no, they're not. Ringo, Koshka, and Adagio. Okay, well, we're just going to see the exact same thing that we saw last week. Welcome to the Halcyon Fold Group B. Gankstars versus Beyond. And interestingly enough, both teams running identical team compositions to what we saw from them in their first match of this tournament.
Yeah, I always love when teams do this. You don't really have to mix it up, especially when there is no, what's it called? I guess when it's blind pick, when you can essentially always secure, unless there is one of the bans on one of those heroes, you can always get the same composition. And since there weren't, I mean, they're of course going to go for it again. So a very aggressive invade here from Gankstars.
Yeah, trying to get some damage down. Koldemeek already level 2, so we will be able to leap to that target and deal some more damage alongside the twirl.
Yeah, and you know what allowed them to do this so quickly was that very interesting start in the jungle. They actually had Iraqi Zoro help out with the first 2 camps there on the left side. Nadagio getting that AoE Gift of Fire, his heal, to do that damage as well on a bunch of those minions to get them down extremely fast.
Yeah, you can leash those 2 camps together to get those much faster jungle starts, and yeah, giving over that experience allowed them to put a little pressure on into the enemy jungle before retreating to take out the camps right as they respawn.
Yeah, it's just little things like this that will give you the lead going into the early and mid game. You can already see on the minimap there's about 3 scout traps placed near that shop in the south of the map, so already Gankstars setting up. They're bringing down Iraqi Zoro. Flare goes down, and they want to invade again.
Here we go. Let's see if they can bait somebody into these scout traps right here. They want to fight. Iraqi Zoro going back for a nice buy. Picks up the 6-star, so it's like a lot of early weapon power here, of course. And meanwhile, that is a very fast crystal infusion on Koldemeek, spending 500 gold on that right off the bat. So they are just going to go nuts trying to take an early game advantage here. They're really investing.
Meanwhile, that girl in the crowd was from Japan, so she's coming to watch Vainglory here in Korea. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's too bad we don't have Divine Brothers here this time.
Yeah,
no Japanese teams.
I'm still disappointed. It's been a week and a half.
Wow, this invade right now. Koldemeek, they're going to try and recall right there. Perfectly timed recall. Both of them getting out, and Yota not able to do much to defend his own jungle.
Yeah, they even got the flare and saw them recalling, but it just was not quick enough. You can tell that Gankstars really has the timings down for exactly when they can invade and when they do have to get out.
Very impressive coordination so far. Now, can they set up some scout traps at the shop right there. It looks like that will be cleared out.
Yeah. I mean, if you take a look at the laner CS so far, Iraqi Zoro already up to 35, 19 only on that Scarf. I mean, Ringo going to be pretty nice against Scarf in that lane, but it's really not only that. It's been these very aggressive jungle invades that is giving Gankstars this very nice 1.3k gold lead already.
Okay, Iraqi Zoro going to use that brush, but here comes Yota, going to get the stun in with the Merciless Pursuit, and now they're right in the middle. They're focusing down Function, but that's a kill coming in for both sides, and they're trying to get it pounce in, and there's the twirl for the finisher, Koldemeek, and a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Gankstars. And, that is not the time you want to fight if you're beyond. So Gankstars pushed up the lane, and you'll notice that the good teams use these timings. We see a little bit of tussling right here. Koldemeek going to dodge the scout trap.
No fear. Catherine's getting in his face. He's like, I'm just going to take these creeps, these minions. Don't mind me.
Well, Catherine has boots and an O card. So you got HP and speed. She's not really going to hurt you.
That's true.
So, but you can see that Crystal Infusion just doing a lot of work for Koldemeek early. That we usually do not see them quite this early on. That was such an early buy.
But it's going to pay off in huge dividends for this team. Even beyond that, I was very impressed by the targeting out of Gankstars overall. Catherine engaged right onto Iraqi Zoro, but Iraqi Zoro did not even attack her once. He immediately jumped onto someone else. I didn't see exactly who that was. I think it may have been Adagio, but it wasn't Catherine. That's the point. Getting his damage down on the squishy targets first.
Well, I mean, they're just going to take the gold miner right now. Another factor, Koldemeek is currently 2 levels up over Function. So getting into this enemy jungle, basically he's the only one in the game right now with an ultimate. And he still has that infusion ticking, so incredibly dangerous. Gonna try and get some vision right now. Actually, look at that. Iraqi Zoro coming in with the crit from the side. He's gonna just poke him right out of this. And here we go. Koldemeek goes in, doesn't use his ultimate quite yet.
Yeah. It's very hard to deal with Koldemeek, I have to say. Even if you do ban his glaive, he's so good at Koshka anyway, and I really have to commend his play overall. It's not just his glaive play, but he's just a fantastic player overall.
Yeah. Certainly proving it right now. He has jumped out to such an immense lead in this game so far. He's more than doubling Function CS
He's near tripling it, Monty. That's out of control. That just shouldn't happen this early on in the game. It's not meant to happen. Call, you're blowing my mind.
Well, you can really see it coming in. Just the very early infusion allowed them to play aggressively and start to push Beyond out of their jungle. And Beyond looking a little bit lost. They shouldn't be trying to take fights when their lane is pushed up like that. It's costing them CS from the Scarf. And that's another big difference. There's the Achilles shot coming in. He's going to try and get the Spitfire down and dissuade this dive. It's level 6, but there you go. Hellfire Brew is going to burn him down in the end. Oh, nice heal coming in from Function.
That's really nice, and you know, that's an ultimate down. Coldmeek taking a bunch of damage. I don't think Beyond is going to be able to turn this one, but at least surviving here. That's one good thing. I also want to point out how much better Koshka is early on in this game at just these very small skirmishes at like level 2 even. Once she gets the Pouncy Fun, the twirling move as well, her B, she's just able to output so much damage, whereas Adagio, you know, he does a bit of damage, but all he's got is a bit of attack speed and not much else. So I just really like the picks as well out of Gankstars.
We just don't. Yota going to get into this brush right now. This is going to be in trouble. Coldmeek already getting low. There's the ultimate going to get canceled thanks to the stun coming in from Coldmeek on his ultimate. And now they're just going to chase him down right here. So hard to get away from Coldmeek. He will fall in the end, but Yota just so low.
Wow, I'm like speechless right now, Monty. That was out of control. Coldmeek under a ton of pressure there. 2-on-3. Arakizaro was not in the best position. He eventually came in, but having the presence of mind to get his ultimate down right after Scarf blew his was just incredible. Even though he went down, he survived for so long and outputted so much damage. And you can even tell, like, all the cameras are on this guy. There's a reason.
Yeah, playing absolutely excellently in this game, and you know he's being set up for success too by Gabe Fizzle here, just keeping him alive and running that heal onto him to make sure he can output all of that damage. Meanwhile, we do see Tension Bow coming in from Arakizaro. I mean, they're just in the middle of a massive power spike right now. Coldmeek has bought Fountain of Renewal for sustain in these fights. He's got Gabe Fizzle backing him up with the heals, and otherwise, just a couple crystal bits and just going for the elixir here, the infusion. Yeah. So that is kind of getting him over the hump, but now they've invested so much into an early game power spike. Lots of infusions. Another weapon infusion coming in right now from Arakizaro, and that Tension Bow, their upfront damage is huge.
Yeah, I think Gankstars also came in very prepared for the lineup that Beyond was going to throw at them. You know, running this amount of crystal power early on in the game, you were going to have a very weak early game, and Gankstars is just all over them. And now going for this turret.
Stun onto Arakizaro, Merciless Pursuit coming on through. Yota trying to get some zone out right there, but they focus down Function, force him out. Here comes the Hellfire Brew, hello. And is he gonna burn? Nope, heals himself. And the damage over time will not be enough to actually take him out.
Yeah. But again, they're just taking fights in their favor, and there's absolutely nothing Beyond can do to try to go for this gold mine. It's going to proc here, and they are going to get 300 for each of their players.
Oh man, the crits coming through. Double Minions Foot, very gold efficient way to get yourself crit chance early on in the game. They're going to take a tower, or a turret rather, off of this one. Easy takedown, and then they'll just back off. They have so many scout traps. They have total control of this game. They have double the gold of Beyond. This is an absolute whitewash.
You know, Invincible Armada, going back to the last game, they were ahead, but they were not this far ahead. I do have to say Gankstars does have to be a bit careful, especially as we do get later on in the game. As I said, some of those heroes, especially Scarf, as she gets up to, you know, 2-3 items, she's going to be a monster. So I would like to see them not make any mistakes here and just hold steady and not get too over-aggressive here.
Yeah, and we'll see how Gankstars chooses to take this. Are they going to start taking the minion miners? Answer is apparently yes. They will be doing that. But we saw in the last game, taking those early minion miners, Zoro actually going to get a little bit caught out from the side, but the stun doesn't land. Here we go. There's the breath coming in from Forgotten War. That is so much damage, but there's a stun. Nice job by Gabe Fizzle on the outside. Function will be taken out. They grab one, but it's a 2-for-1 again. Gankstars coming out in the better end of that one. It was a great block on the engage. The reflex block coming in against the stun from Yota.
And even just on the other side of it, Forgotten War, he did a very nice job of trying to get that fight down. He reflex blocked actually the stun from the ultimate of Call the Meek as well. So a couple of really nicely timed reflex blocks in that fight. And he outputted so much damage. He has finished his Broken Myth here. So the longer that fight goes on, the stronger he is going to be. But just, I feel like, you know, Gankstars at this point just too far ahead almost.
Yeah, I also wonder why Beyond didn't try and counter with a few more infusions of their own in the early game, because they kept opting into skirmishes with just nowhere near the same amount of power that Gankstars had due to the consumables that were purchased. I mean, just everywhere littered with scout traps right now. Gankstars can just sit around this gold miner as long as they want to control that area, keep on stacking up that big money advantage, and then probably just take the Kraken on spawn.
Yada getting a little too far ahead of himself. Gonna bring down that that guard there. Gonna stay alive, but has to be careful. The burst damage from that tension bow and the Koshka is quite large.
But Gangstar still just trying to zone him off. They're threatening this dive at all times, and the level advantage still very much there in their favor. They're going to go for it, initiating with the Koshka ultimate. They find Function and kill him immediately before he can even get his own ult down. Now they will trade. Koshka's going to go down. Forgotten War got a nice channel up. How well can they kite? Not well enough. And that gank gets turned around.
Yeah.
Gabe Bizzle will be the last to fall. Catherine's done coming through.
You know, I think that was a bit of a mistake to go for that ultimate from Koshka onto the Adagio. They got the kill, yes, but Scarf was in the back, totally protected, and the ultimate got off. The fight was, you know, going on for at least 3 seconds, so that Broken Myth was fully charged up, and then the ultimate came out and just burned down 2 members. It's just Scarf getting stronger and stronger here the longer this game is going to go on, and I think they have to save that ultimate at least for him.
Yeah, and you just have to take him down. You talked about Scarf's late game damage. His ultimate has a 3.0 crystal power ratio. That's one of the highest in the
disgusting.
game. So his scaling with items, if you can actually get that channel, problem is it does take a long time, but the way that Gankstars interrupted his ultimate was by using the Koshka ultimate in the previous team fights. They tried to get it off on Function first. I think they wanted to burst him down so they couldn't get stunned underneath the turret.
And you know what? I'm beginning to realize this as well. In the last team fight, Forgotten War, as I said, he reflex blocked the stun. And I think they're saying maybe we can't go for Scarf anymore. We have to go for Adagio, who is the only player on that team who doesn't have a reflex block yet. So they're locking down the player who doesn't have it maybe. And that's, you know, even just the reflex block here is going to give Beyond and Forgotten War on that Scarf a much better chance in this game.
Yeah, yes it will. And we'll see how long it takes Function to pick up perhaps a reflex block of his own. They're going to front load the Hellfire Brew, will be reflex blocked out. So, but that means that now they are vulnerable to the Koshka ult. Let's see if they go for it.
It seems like Gankstars really
That
wants to
poke
engage.
damage.
They want the engage, but they can't get it. The slow from the goop too much.
Goop, gloop, all the same.
Gloop loop.
Oh, there we go. And they're going to get onto immediately. Reflex block is down, so they're opting into this fight. There's the stun coming in, and they get that very important kill onto the Scarf. Now, what can they do with it afterwards? Interesting strategy. Like you said, take down the reflex block with the Ringo ultimate, and then get in there with the Koshka ultimate afterwards.
Yeah, you can tell that Gankstars has a very big mind of what exactly Beyond is buying. And they know how to counter it as well, as you said. That's just exactly what they were going for. Just knock down the reflex block and then just go for it. Even if they were very low, they counted on the Fountain out of Call the Meek and as well as Gabe Bizzle on that Adagio to keep them up as long as the Scarf DPS was not coming out. And just another great team fight there from Gankstars, looking to continue their lead.
Indeed. Serpent Mask actually finished second for Rocky Zoro, so that's going to give him a lot of lifesteal and sustain in these fights. And, you know, beyond the initial Catherine stun, because he's probably not going to be in range of Function's ultimate, he really just has to work on sustaining his way through the possible Scarf damage, especially with all the flaming goop damage over time that he might be encountering. And here they go. They're going to go in right immediately again. There's the ult drop by Function. Not going to get a stun. It will be reflex blocked, but that is Call the Meek diving too deep underneath the turret once more.
Again, they're just trying to force it there, but if they can't get the stun on Scarf, it's just not going to work. Two heroes going down to Scarf alone, pretty much. I mean, you know, of course, Function, a really nice ultimate there as well, but, you know, Beyond is not out of this game, and Scarf's only going to get stronger here. I don't want to harp on it too much, but I've been enjoying it, Monte Cristo.
Oh, man, they're just clearing out the massive minefield. Yeah, that Scarf, you can see he's so good at sieging turrets, too. He has the overdrive into his Spitfire, makes it very fast, much easier to land. But when you get that, you also are able to just deal so much damage to the turrets by dropping the goop and setting it on fire underneath it. So you can poke people off the turrets very easily, and Gangstar is actually going to abuse a recall timing right here to quickly take a Kraken.
Yeah, maybe Beyond just not recalling out of the vision of that those scout traps here, and that's going to be pretty much a free Kraken. Keep in mind that although they do get this, they may be able to push down a bit of the health on that outer turret here, but Scarf, again, one of the best at taking down Kraken with that percent health over time damage. It's pretty out of control. But
his perk does deal 1.5% HP per stack, so yeah, he is great for killing some of these larger monsters in the game.
Mm-hmm. And I think even if it's reduced slightly for Kraken and bigger monsters here, but still pretty nice.
All right, Kolomik going to get stunned right up. They just want the turret. It's chunked down pretty low. There's the ultimate coming in from Catherine, and just going to back off on the Dragon Breath. So that ultimate's now down, and now's the time for them to go in, and that will be a Adagio falling immediately. Kolomik trying to kite around this brush right here. They want to go into Yota. Yota has no energy right now. Forgotten War running very low as well, so finally Gangstar's finding the fight, and they kill Scarf. Rocky wants to get in, but doesn't dare dive the main base quite yet. They'll leave the Kraken to do some work as they retreat.
Yeah, just a bit of a not the greatest Dragon's Breath there. He didn't even need to get stunned. He just didn't line up any damage on it, and once that went down, that was the timing for Gankstars to just jump in. And in fact, this Kraken is going to do a ton of damage because Scarf was very much denied doing any DPS to the Kraken. Rather, he was having to deal with the heroes of Gankstars.
Oh, so low. Not quite going to pick up that extra gold for Gankstars as he moans in agony.
What if when he fell on the turret it did damage? I was thinking of that.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Right. Pretty defensive build actually from Kolomik. Does have 2 infusions though. He's just been drinking consumables left and right this entire game. Just so much of his money has been sunk into those infusions so far.
Double infusion now on him. It's pretty nice. Koshka for sure. Funny that Function going for the weapon infusion, but he does have that Broken Myth. Kind of going a hybrid build.
Well, he buffs his own auto attacks damage as it is, so it does make sense. And Forgotten War. Oh, he gets getting caught. He doesn't recall. Oh, what an important catch right there. They're going to ult him. He is dead 100% right here. He just doesn't get it off. He was in the last 0.5 seconds of his recall animation.
Yeah, both hands on his face. There's headset almost falling off. He in a bit of agony himself here.
Oh man, oh, it was so close.
Scarf was already in the sky.
He was already in the sky, but
doesn't matter.
Just yank him right back down. Hellfire Brew coming through.
Get back here.
At the end, wow. Well, that may change quite a bit about this game.
Just picking up a nice kill. Gonna gain momentum for them. They gain full control of this jungle once again. None of the minions are here anymore.
Yeah, they have to deal with the double minion mine minions too. So no real pushing power right now from Beyond, and they have to be so cautious. Looks like Gangstar's probably just going to wait this one out for another Kraken. They don't really have to dive as long as they have this many scout traps on the enemy side.
And it doesn't really matter how much DPS Scarf can do to the Kraken. With one of those turrets on one hit to go before it falls, and then just one more turret in the crystal to go down, I feel like Gankstars, if they do get the Kraken, they could almost all in the crystal and win the game.
Yeah, that's It's definitely a possibility. Iraqi Zoro gets his breaking point, so that's actually a huge boost in power. He was so focused on that tension bow and that early game potential, but now he actually has an item that will scale very well in the late game as he continues in these team fights, and that is a very quick Kraken.
Beyond, they don't have the timing on this Kraken. I think they should have at least had an idea of when it was coming down. But that's going to be Kraken unleashed here for Gankstars. And as I was saying before, this is going to be a very strong push from them.
Gonna move into the lane right now, see what work they can get done. Remember, there's only 2 turrets left, and one of them is really, really low for Beyond. One shot from that Kraken will finish it off.
Yeah, you can see Beyond kind of, well, they were for a second. They're fighting out of the range of the turrets. For now, they want to do as much damage as the Kraken before it gets down, but just going to back off by, regain full health and energy, and here we go.
Golden Meek's Crystal Infusion is down. He only has the Weapon Infusion in his inventory right now, so he's not going to be quite as powerful. Has to be a little bit more careful this time around. They're just following in the shadow of the Kraken. They just want to take down the turrets and win this game. There's the ultimate coming through. It looks like canceled by the silence from Yota. And this is it. Now, are they going to try and finish right now? They come in. Koldomik is stunned instantly. How much can they do? Function getting low. And there we go. Burst of Judgment comes through. No stuns falling. And they are going to get the first kill and the second. And that's going to be the end of this game.
It was just too much. After the Dragon's Breath went down, they were just able to go for a full engage. And that will be the game here for Gankstars.
Vayne Crystal in the end, so Gankstars tries for that early game strategy. They kind of all in on that early game. They get enough of a lead that they're able to snowball it, but you can definitely see those investments in consumables early making a difference when it came back to Beyond able to purchase more items and get that scarf rolling.
Yeah, for sure. Forgotten War, he was the key player from Beyond, but I feel like some key mistakes in that game there. They did they were doing their best, but just sometimes the Dragon Breath not lining up. It was the main skill keeping them in the game for the longest time.
Absolutely. Well, handshakes across the arena. Gankstars moving to 2-0 so far in that group stage, so very well primed to get out of Group B in that very important first place spot.
Looking quite strong and very prepared every single time they come in with very specific lineups, team compositions. They have a key idea in mind, especially against the team that they're going against. They knew that Beyond plays for the late game. Well, they're just going to all in early game.
The man of the match will be Iraqi Zoro playing Ringo for his second game. Looking really badass in that picture, too.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing, man. Yeah. He definitely did overall the most damage, I'd say, and he was definitely that big backline player for Gankstars, but honorable mention definitely does go to Koldomik. He was owning up that early game. He kept Scarf out of it for the longest time, for as long as he possibly could.
He had such a huge level advantage, too.
Yeah.
In that early game situation, just completely took over the entire jungle. Very interesting strategy from Gankstars, proved successful. They had a couple of hiccups. They had to work out how exactly they were going to team fight once it hit that late game and the items started coming through. And we're going to go to an interview with our man of the match, Iraqi Zoro.
B조의 경기였습니다. 갱스타즈와 또 비욘드 팀의 경기였죠. 승리팀은 갱스타즈고요. MOM존에는 오늘 또다시 이라키 조로 선수가 왔습니다. 안녕하세요. Hi again. 네. 오늘 소감 한 말씀 간단하게 좀 부탁드릴게요.
So how do you feel about your win today? In general?
Actually pretty happy. That game was a little bit stressful and I'm relaxed, or I'm a little bit more comfortable now that it's over.
경기는 좋기는 했는데 스트레스를 하면서 좀 받으셨대요. 근데 지금 경기가 끝나니까 기분이 매우 좋다고 하시고요.
그렇군요. 근데 스트레스를 어떻게 하다가 뭐 어떤 것 때문에 좀 받았는지 여쭤보고 싶어요.
I mean, what aspect of the game was stressful?
To be honest, even though we had the early game lead, they were able, or they managed very well to stay a little bit relevant in the game. The one thing they did really good was to always secure their backs, and that was a little bit caught us off surprise because we haven't played against a team who can secure their backs so well. And because they were able to secure their backs, it was really like it kept them relevant in the game, and it was harder for us to finish the game.
초반에는 갱스타스 팀에서 강세를 보이면서 경기를 이겨나가면서 풀어 나갔는데
그랬죠.
저쪽 팀이 뒷라인을 되게 잘 막았대요. 뒷라인을 되게 잘 보호하면서 경기를 운영을 했기 때문에
네.
경기를 끝마치기가 좀 어려워가지고는 그것을 하는데 좀 힘들어서 스트레스를 많이 받았다고 하십니다.
네, 제가 보니까 이 갱스타즈 팀은 뭐 타격 캐리 그리고 또 비욘드 팀은 수정 캐리였다고 좀 이렇게 반대되잖아요 성격이. 근데 게임하면서 좀 어떠셨는지 궁금하거든요.
So it was like between two heroes that utilize different builds. One's more weapon power and other one's more crystal power. They're kind of opposing in terms of builds and damage. So like if you have anything to comment on that aspect.
Actually, the two heroes they had were both building mostly crystal damage, and that's why you saw me get the Aegis really early because they both had crystal damage. So I just wanted to be a little bit more defensive against it, and the fact they had only crystal damage made it a little bit easier for us.
일단 저쪽 팀 두 명의 캐리 둘 다 수정 파워 캐리여서 이지스를 빨리 올림으로써
네.
수정 파워를 좀 더 줄이는 쪽으로 갔고요.
네.
저쪽이 수정 파워 두 개밖에 없어가지고 그게 더 경기를 풀어나가는데 쉬웠다고 하십니다.
네, 그렇군요. 인비테이셔널에서 3위를 기록한 이후로 더욱더 성장한 모습을 보여주고 있는 갱스타즈와 또 이라키조로 선수에게 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you. Thank you.
네, 저는 다음 C조 경기 때 다시 돌아오도록 하겠습니다. 좋은 날이었습니다.
Another interview with Iraqi Zoro, and we are on to our final match of the night coming up after this short break. Hunters, our Chinese team, fourth place finisher at the Invitational, takes on Hack to round out the evening. Hack looking for their first win.